Their involvement in the development of the Vedic literature and spiritual practices signifies their contribution in early Hinduism. However, we do not find much records of women in spiritualism during subsequent periods, even up to Middle Ages, except for odd cases like Mirabai. Friends, towards the end of the 19th century, inspired by Ma Sarada, Swami Vivekananda could integrate women of the Western world with our traditional spiritual practices while integrating modern values and addressing the unique spiritual needs of diverse women across different cultures and societies. Women of India did join as monks in the Ramakrishna order. However, Swamiji's influence, it appears, was not as overwhelming on Indian women as his motivation to women in the West. In contemporary times too, we do find women in spirituality, but in rarity. I would request Dr. Bhomik to share her thoughts in this regard and also on what could be the reasons for transformation of women in India from spiritualism to more of playing roles of a mother, daughter, wife, daughter-in-law and mother, which are also very important for societal growth. When would we find more and more women like Dr. Bhomik leading our temples and spiritual organizations and making valuable contributions to religious scholarships? Women like her will address gender inequality and promote inclusivity to shape a more balanced spiritual and religious community with greater and greater participation of women. On a personal note, I must share with you, Doctor, that, in our family, for instance, my mother was very spiritual. And we always thought that lot of all those good things that were happening to the family was, we owed it to her spiritualism, the kind of atmosphere that she created in the house with that. Fortunately, my wife carries on with this, and I am seeing some shades of that getting into my daughters-in-law also. And those things I am a student of family business, okay? And we observe that this sense of spiritualism brings a lot of emotional balance within the family space, primarily created by women. And that's how we believe that just like CEOs in businesses, there are very big necessity of CEOs in families as well. And this CEO is the Chief Emotional Officer, which the ladies of the house have very well actually played in many, many families. And before I conclude, I must commend Dr. Bhomik's contribution in leading the way in our spiritual domain and wish her all the best in her endeavor. She is a great Sanskrit scholar. With these words, I request Srimati Renuka Shah, Chairperson of the Ladies Forum, to introduce our guest speaker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Dr. Nandini Bhomik, Nareshji, my colleagues in the committee and Ladies Forum, guests and friends, Namaste, good evening, and a very warm welcome to our event today. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Nandini Bhomik, an eminent Indologist, thespian, and Sanskrit professor. As one of the founding members of Shubhamastu, an organization consisting of women priests, I believe now you're 18 of you, right? Dr. Bhomik's pioneering work has opened doors for women to enter priesthood, thereby promoting gender inclusivity and diversity in spiritual leadership. With a PhD in Sanskrit in epigraphy, Dr. Bhomik has had a distinguished academic career, serving as professor at renowned institutions like the Jadavpur University. She has also worked as a stage actor in numerous theatre groups, devoting more than 20 years of her life. Dr. Bhowmick has gained wide recognition for a unique approach to priesthood, blending scriptures with melodious Bengali songs and transforming rituals into magical performances. Nandini ji's journey is a testament to her courage and determination. Despite facing resistance and initial skepticism from others, she has persisted in her mission. Her life and her ideology have inspired the Bengali film Brahma Janen Gopon Komti. Through her work, Dr. Bhowmick continues to inspire and empower others to challenge norms and follow their passions. She has shared her insights and expertise on numerous occasions, including interviews and talk shows on prominent channels and various seminars and conferences. Friends, Indian spiritualism is revered globally as a form of philosophy, darshan or sight, and the Upanishads are regarded as the source of this spiritualism. The Vedic age is characterized by a period that gave women equal opportunities to participate in rituals, pursue knowledge, and express their creativity. While the Vedic rishis are acclaimed as spiritual masters, we must also acknowledge the influence of the rishikas like Maitri, Gargi, Argayami, and Vishpala. Their contributions have shaped the philosophical discourse in the Upanishads, influencing subsequent schools of thought and interpretations in Hindu philosophy. Such women, spiritual leaders, have been immortalized in the Indian psyche. I strongly believe that the light of spirituality can dispel the darkness in our minds caused by the cluttering of information and desire for materialistic pleasures in the modern day and age. From ancient sages and philosophers to modern spiritual leaders and activists, women have made substantial contributions to the spiritual and religious life of India. While challenges remain, the ongoing efforts to address gender inequality and promote inclusivity are shaping a more balanced and representative spiritual community. I am therefore looking forward to Dr. Nandini Bhowmick's talk to understand the role of women in Indian spirituality and their relevance to the underlying broad socio-cultural dimensions of the different manifestations of spirituality in the Vedic, medieval and modern periods. With these words, I would request Dr. Bhowmick to commence her talk. Thank you, and it's over to you, Nandini Ji.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank you for having invited me here and giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. Respected dignitaries and respected members around me, pranam, good wishes to all of you. I speak on behalf of Shubhamastu, the priesthood organization that has been working in Kolkata around the nation and now around the globe for about 12 years. It was a long journey and a difficult one. The journey is still going on with a lot of challenges. Over and over again, we have to face challenges. We have to convince the larger spectrum of society that what we are doing, there is nothing wrong in it, just because we are women. And Indian society is not ready to accept women speaking of religion and spiritualism. But now our work has been easier. People have accepted our method of work. We have at last succeeded in convincing the larger portion of the society. And many families and a large section of society have been constantly asking us to become the priest in their family ceremonies. And I always thank them and tell them that you are also a part of the movement. If you did not call us, we would not be able to prove what we are trying to say. You have asked me to speak on spiritualism and women. What is spiritualism? I happened to go through Webster Dictionary to understand what is spiritualism, the word in English. The dictionary says, the view that spirit is a prime element of reality, a belief that spirits of the dead communicate with the living, usually through a medium. That is what spiritualism means in English. Oh God, we Indians know so much better concept of spiritualism, which we called Adhyatmavad in Sanskrit. What is Adhyatma? We can break this word in two little words, Adhi plus Atman. Most of you must be knowing what is Atman. It is self, and Adhi is something superior. Hence, the concept of Adhyatman is concerning the self or the supreme being, a superior existence which is there, which we Indians truly believe that a supreme existence is there which is far above our cognition. The concept of that, the praying for that, the invocations for that is what spiritualism is. It is an extremely deep concept. Nothing to do with ghosts, nothing to do with planchets. It is a far superior concept in Indian tradition. And this concept has been inculcated within us from the Vedic age, that is 5,000 to 7,000 years back. That is our tradition. Now, what is the concept of dharma in Indian tradition? Let us go through that. What the Vedic scriptures say about dharma, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the later Vedic period. What do they say about dharma? The definition of dharma, that which sustains us, retains us, guides us in personal life, social life, spiritual life. That which makes our life pleasant and peaceful through the well-being of humanity. That is dharma. Is religion anywhere here? No. It's just speaking of humanity. How you will behave in your household matters, how you will behave in your workplace, how you will behave in your larger society. And what is the concept of life after death? All this is dharma, and this is the root of Indian spiritualism. No gender bias is here. I can't find any gender bias here. Why will men, women be segregated in this concept of dharma, the concept of spirituality. Now let us go further deep into the components of dharma. What does dharma actually say? What does it consist of? It has 5 characters, ladies and gentlemen. 5 characters. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Shaucha, and Samyama. All these words are extremely familiar to you. In household matters, is it only the responsibility of women to follow these? No. It is the responsibility of every person of every gender to follow this at home, in workplace, and in the larger society. Then only we shall be complete human beings and not face the heinous crimes that are going on. We are going through this at present in Kolkata. Now let us discuss on these 5 categories. What is ahimsa? Do unto others as you wish to be done to you. That is ahimsa. You have to ponder upon it, think twice before hurting anybody, before abusing anybody. You won't like to be abused by anyone. Hence, don't abuse. There are many ways to tackle odd challenges. The number 2 category is Satya. It is actually a union of your work, your mind, and your words. Think truth. Say truth. Say what you're thinking and do what you're saying. All should be in a line. Say what you're thinking and do what you're saying. It seems very easy, but it's extremely difficult. We all know that in practical field. Asteya. Be sure of not taking others' property in the wrong way. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyang jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita. The last line is most important. Ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Don't try to develop any greed within yourself for others' property. In fact, nothing is our property. If you think in a spiritual manner, nothing is your property. If we die this moment, we'll just leave this earth and leave everything behind. What we thought everything was my property. And we have a tendency to also believe that family members are our property. In workplaces, my subordinates are my property. In my family, my salaried staff are my property. No, nobody, no thing is your property. You know, in the Mahabharata, there was a king who was very detached, and he was very proud that he is a detached king, a noble one, and all his subjects liked him very much. So Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, wanted to test how much that king was detached. So, in the disguise of a Brahmin, he came to stay in that king's kingdom. And he committed a crime on his own just to test the king. And the king was very angry because he was very truthful. He called upon the disguised Brahmin, Lord Vishnu, and said, "You have committed a heinous crime. You have to go out of the borders of my kingdom. You cannot stay in my kingdom anymore. Go out." And Lord Vishnu very politely asked the king, "Kindly tell me where the border of your kingdom ends, my lord." The king realized that no land is his property, no kingdom is his property. Once he leaves this world, he'll leave everything behind. That is detachment, and that is spiritualism that we are proud of. Indian tradition speaks of such spiritualism. Ma gridha kasya svedhanam. Do not develop any lust, any greed in others' property. The fourth category is shaucha. You all know purity. Shaucha, purity. What does purity mean? Yes, it is cleanliness. Cleanliness within and without. Yes, we wear clean clothes. It is a part of keeping ourselves pure. We take a shower every day. That is a part of keeping ourselves pure. In the same way, you have to wash your heart every day, keeping yourself pure from within. If you wear very clean and beautiful clothes and you talk regressively with others, you're extremely impure. Purity actually resides in your heart, in your mind, the way you think. That is most important. We have a very common, popular mantra of Lord Vishnu. Yas marat pundarikakshang sabhashya abhyantara shuchi. If you just remember Lord Vishnu, Pundarikaksha, you are pure. Bhashya, that is outside, and Abhyantara, that is inside. Trust in Him, believe in Him, believe in the Supreme Power. That is spirituality. Where is gender bias over here? Why will not females do priesthood activities? If a lady, yasmaret pundarikaksham, if a lady always prays and remembers Lord Pundarikaksha, that is Lord Vishnu, Krishna, she is pure from within, even during her menstrual days. That is purity. That is purity. You cannot be impure if you are in menstruation. That is purity. You have to be pure from within. Think of the gods and goddesses. You can never do anything wrong. The fifth category is Sangyama, we all know of that. Self-control, we all know of that. So, I have spoken of the 5 categories explained in our religious texts, which say, if these 5 categories are followed by a human being, then that person is dharmika. That person, he or she, is dharmika, not religious. Because we have concocted the word religion only to divide ourselves. Be sure of that. Every religion ultimately speaks of the same thing. These 5 things. So, do not discriminate. It is very wrong to discriminate ourselves. Dr. Mahanamvrata Brahmachari, I'm just quoting him, Dharma is not synonymous with religion. Dharma is the inherent quality. Dharma of fire is to burn, of water is to quench our thirst. Dharma for human beings is to develop within ourselves those qualities without which we cannot be called humans. Animals and birds are born with their inherent qualities, but humans have to acquire the same. The quality of humans is humanity. You can say, this should be our religion. Because I have been into teaching from a very early age, I have been in close contact with the young generation of every time. And many of my ex-students, I know, they have written in forms where you have to mention what religion you are in. They have written humanity. I salute them. I'll state a story of Lord Buddha. He was begging for alms from door to door. The lady of a household abused him as a parasite. Can't you work and earn your living? You're begging. After receiving alms, Buddha asked the lady, if I return this to you back? The lady readily said, oh yes, you can. I'll take it back from you. Buddha said, then your abuse language to me will also return to you, not only the alms. The lady realized her mistake. She acquired the human quality. This is no religious transformation. It is just acquiring the human quality, the first step to spiritualism. And this has no gender. Everyone can do it. When I talk of Buddha, I'll also talk of Ashoka, the great king. What about Ashoka's Dhamma? I have been teaching Ashoka's Dhamma for many years in the Jadavpur University in the master's degree. Ashoka's Dhamma says, the dharma that you should practice should compulsorily have these points, without which you cannot be called a dharmika. Obedience to parents, respect for adults, gift to relatives and friends, good behavior with servants and people working under you. These are the main points. There are many others. So what is this? This just speaks on humanity, isn't it? Not of Buddhism in particular. Doesn't Hinduism say the same thing? Yes. I'm speaking, my words will be based on Vedic scripture because that is what I have studied throughout my life. I have not studied hard the other religious texts. That is why my words are based on the Sanskrit texts, which I know a bit. That does not mean I can speak short of the other religious texts. No, all religious texts ultimately say the same thing. They speak of humanity. The Latin word religare means reunion. This suggests that there was a union previously. We have to unite with the supreme power through the path laid down by different religious methods or faiths. Sri Ramakrishna, you were mentioning him. Yes, Sri Ramakrishna Deva. In Bengali, he said, Joto mot, toto pot. Different ways to reach the same goal. Ekang sad vipra bahudha vadanti. These all words seem to mention the same thing. Ramakrishna said, if you roll sweet, he said, michri, we call in Bengali, it's like sugar. If you put sugar in a bread and you roll the bread, roti, if you roll the roti with sugar inside it, and you hold it laterally and eat it, then you hold it in this way and eat it, it will taste the same. Ramakrishna always explained in a very simple way. He said, a sweet bread, if you hold it in an elongated way, either if you hold it in a lateral way and eat it, it will taste the same. That is what is spiritualism. That is what is explained by the rishis as ekang sadvipra bahudha vadanti. You should not think that only your watch is giving the correct time and all others' watches are wrong. You should never think like that. You should respect others. That will bring an end to many, many challenges that we face each and every day just because we do not respect others' words. We think that our watch is giving the correct time all the time. Sri Ramakrishna was a priest of the Kali temple, but did not hesitate to visit a mosque or a church. Keep your mind wide open. Never allow any narrowness to enter and cripple your mind. Embrace this form of Indian culture. You will feel empowered and emancipated. You will be brave from within. Try hard and stop not till the goal is reached. Our Upanishad says like that. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvabhutasya atmanang sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvata samadarshana. You can understand what the word samadarshana means. All is universally accepted. the vision of equality. If there is a vision of equality, Samadarshana within us, in a very higher mode of thought, that is the root of spiritualism, and that has no gender bias at all. Women can do it, men can do it. People of every gender have the right to believe and act in Samadarshana. Women are never debarred that they are told, no, you don't have to think so much. You concentrate on your household activities. Yes, that was the state in the medieval period, post-Vedic period, beginning with the Puranic age, when education was not allowed for the women folk. If you are not educated, how can you speak? If you are not educated, how can you talk in public? If you know nothing what the scriptures are written about, how can you go into any priesthood activity? How can you debate upon spiritualism? Hence, women folk were kept indoors. Child marriage came into vogue. Kanyadan began. This is all our history. History speaks of that particular time. But now, it is a different time. Like myself, thousands and lakhs of girls we had the opportunity to study the Sanskrit language and literature from a very young age in school. We opted for high studies in Sanskrit. I completed my honors graduation. Well, nobody asked me not to apply my education elsewhere. Instead, everybody told, okay, we are having a beautiful program today. It'll begin with your chanting. Time has changed. When I was doing my masters, all the Vedic scriptures were included in our syllabus. And we were in the habit of chanting the Vedic mantras with Om. And later on, if anybody comes and tells me that, oh no, you're a woman, you should not say Om, why will I listen to him? The time has changed. I have been taught how to pronounce the Vedic literature, how to do the Vedic chanting properly. In fact, I know a lot of men who cannot chant properly, who cannot pronounce the mantras properly. And they have no in-depth study in the subject, but they are priests only because it is their family tradition. You ask them, they will not be able to explain anything. You ask every member of Shubhamastu, we will explain each and everything what we do. This year we are conducting 4 Durga Pujas in Kolkata. Come to us. Sit and listen to what we say. We never say the mantras or we never do any ritual without microphones. Why? Because we want people to hear what we say. Everywhere you will find priests are just murmuring in a very low tone. Do you understand? If you have a puja in your house, have you ever asked the priest what is going on? What is the significance of the rituals that are going on? When you are married, have you asked the priest, please explain each and every ritual that I'm going through? I can't understand, because that's not your fault. You don't have any knowledge of Sanskrit, so what? You have the right to understand what you're going through. That is your duty to ask the priests. Please, from henceforth, ask the priests, because priests are purohit. Purohit, purah means that person is standing in front. Puro dha. Dha means he's existing, he's there, he or she is there in the front of the society, leading everybody. The large section of society that Purohit is leading. If that person has the courage to lead, then that person is liable to explain each and everything that is going on in the priesthood activities. It is your duty to ask questions and understand, because everybody is educated now. It is all about education. There is no gender bias here. Why will only women do puja at home in our little puja room? Why? Why not the men before going to their office? And when it comes to a big puja outside, then the men steps in, not the women. The mindset has to be changed. Follow? Spiritualism is there for everybody. Each and everybody. The child in a family can also be taught to be a complete human being. That is the root, the basis of spiritualism. I won't take long. Swami Vivekananda has said, before that, I think I should be very clear upon this point also. Brahmanism. You know, when we started with our priesthood activities, we used to use our full name, Nandini Bhaumik. Suddenly we realized that people are judging our caste status from the surname. And that was very regressive for us. Why? Why should a person be born of a Brahmin family in order to be a priest? I will explain to you. Brahmanism should be acquired, not to be enjoyed by your birth. Brahmanism has certain excellent qualities which should be the benchmark for people of all castes. Swami Vivekananda has said, all non-Brahmin castes should strive to acquire the qualities ascribed to Brahmins. That will bring completeness to the society as a whole. That will help us to be a complete human being. Our only goal should be acquiring the qualities to be a complete person. The practice of trying to be a complete human being is only our dharma, our religion. We should try our best to dissociate ourselves from meaningless superstitions. These are dangerous age-old practices which can cause hindrance to any sensible development in society. Said by Swami Vivekananda. Purnamada purnamidang purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. take out the whole from the whole, you will be astonished to find that the whole remains. That is Indian spiritualism. And everybody has the right to this spiritualism. Of course, women. I would just end up with my notion of virtue and vice in the 21st century. What is virtue and what is vice? Pap, punya. What should be the concept? This should be redefined in this time. Doing good to others is virtue. Doing evil to others is vice, sin. Love is virtue, hatred is vice. Equality is virtue, discrimination is vice. Don't discriminate. The topic today is a mark of discrimination. Don't discriminate. Please. In Bengali, there's a beautiful saying, হাতে বাঁশি থাকলে বাজালি না কেন? Bashi is a flute. We all have flutes in our hands. We just have to play and develop beautiful melody, beautiful tunes of spiritualism. We have the right to do it, all of us. Thank you.
Wow. Short of words, speechless, I would say.
Was it a bit hard?
After listening to you, so thought-provoking, so insightful, and so correlatable actually with whatever you have mentioned. Fortunately, ma'am, I do pray before going to office.
Thank you.
So
thank you so
I'm
much.
on the right side of your.
Thank you.
And yes, there is a good trend that has started in the last few years in some weddings. At least we are noticing that the meaning of every ritual or mantra is being also explained on the mic.
Very nice.
So, so
do
even
it.
that thing is, and I'm sure it will spread going forward, and the younger generation and we have noticed that the younger generation actually listens to it, kind of attentively,
Yes.
at least those who are close friends and family of the bride and the groom.
Yes.
So to that extent, things have
Changed.
Have changed.
The approach
And-
has changed.
Yeah, the approach has changed. So yes, so it was fantastic. Now would like all the members to open up to ask questions. Just two requests. This kind of a talk can be many things to many people, and that you tend to share your own thoughts also on such occasions. But here today we are here to listen to Dr. Bhomik. So let's refrain from sharing our thoughts. It's better that we ask questions, or if we have any doubts, get it cleared from Dr. Bhomik. And one request would be to keep your questions short.
I'm no authority. I can only share my beliefs.
Yes. Yes, please.
Dr. Bhomik, you have ended your thoughts with that we have all the flute in our hand. Now it's how we will play.
Yes.
Can non-Brahmin also become priest if they master Brahmagyan,
Sure.
the ultimate knowledge of the universe? This is one question.
Yeah. First, let me answer you. Brahma's Jnana is a very big concept. Priests are very little in compared to that. Only a saint, a sannyasi, like Buddha, they can achieve that Brahmaj Jnana. It is very difficult to achieve Brahmaj Jnana in this mundane world, going to office every day and doing priesthood activities every day. But I would tell you that for priesthood activities, you need to acquire the qualities of a Brahman. You need not be born in a Brahmin family. What are the qualities of a Brahman? You have to have a very good understanding and study of the scriptures. If you read and study of the scriptures very intently, you will develop those qualities that a Brahmin had in our old tradition. Because the Brahmins were the people who guided the kings. You can see all good kings, they had very good Brahmin ministers beside them. So these Brahmin ministers were so well versed and so intelligent that they could guide a statecraft. So everything depends on that academic qualification, and not only for degree, for applying it in your practical field. That is very needed. Everything depends on the education.
Thank you. Based on your opinion, now the question comes, do we need to re-examine our religious text and tradition, and how can lay people like us know more about our roots and our true history?
Sure. You needn't have to have a very good knowledge of the Sanskrit language for that, because such beautiful translations have come through the ages that if you wish, please go to the library or buy books and please read them, go through them. It is just like storytelling, you know. I request everyone that the Vedas, the Puranas, the Chandi, the Bhagavad Gita, do not consider these texts as very sacred and keep it in your puja room. Keep it on your bedside table. And like bedtime story, you read the Gita before going to sleep. You will feel very pure from within if you understand. The other day I told one person, in our Bengali fraternity, we have the habit, if anybody after the decease, in Shraddh ceremony, in one room the priest goes on with the ritual, and in another room a priest sits there and just chants the Gita in a very low tone. Nobody hears, nobody understands. No use of that. You have to understand each and every sloka, what the Gita is saying. And you have immense types of translations for that. So please go through them and you will feel proud of Indian tradition.
That will purify our mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your fantastic questions. Anybody else would like to ask? May I? Yes. First, let Sujata ji ask a question, then maybe, yeah. Yeah.
So, in our Indian tradition, hello. Yeah. In our Indian tradition, women are supposed to be impure during their period, and women of certain age, young girls to their fertility age, women are not allowed to enter Lord Murugan or many South Indian temples. So what do you think about that? Do you support it?
I'm totally against this, of course, because I think menstruation is a very natural thing, and if it doesn't happen to a young girl, then she has to go to a doctor.
Right, and it is a very auspicious thing to be fertile, isn't it? It's a good.
Not auspicious. It is
It's
common.
good,
It is
yeah.
natural.
Absolutely.
It is natural. It is no gift from the God. It is very natural. Our body is made like that. So if it is disturbed, then we have to go to the doctor. So we can never be impure at that time. And it is very unfortunate that even in this century, women are debarred from entering few temples. Yes, I know that.
Thank you, Sujata ji. And when she answered your question, the first question about Brahmins or scholars actually being with kings, and so all the Valmikis, Dronacharyas, Chanakyas, everybody, look at our history is full of them actually. So that's excellent. Yes, please, your question.
Good evening, ma'am. In fact, it was such an enlightening session. I must thank you for that. I have, in fact, a lot of questions, and there has to be a lot of questions, but since there's paucity of time, I'll just ask one or two questions to you. When I was a student, actually, I happened to read one book, actually, while traveling in a train, The Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham. And it started with a particular mantra from Katha Upanishad. It says that the sharp edge of a razor is difficult to pass over. Thus, the wise say the path to salvation is hard. And that made me actually finding out what is in Sanskrit. Then I got to know that Kurashadhara Nishita Durattaya Durgang Patastat Kavayo Vadanti. So I will just ask you to, Joe, it's very difficult actually in such a paucity of time to, unravel the whole thing. But if you can just, throw some light on that. This is one. And another would be a little tricky questions. I'm sorry for that. That is...
First let me answer this.
Okay.
Actually, it is nothing to answer, actually. It is thing of huge sadhana. Kshurasya dhara. It is really the edge of a razor. Spiritualism, because the 5 categories of dharma that I mentioned, it is very easy to say, but it is very difficult to practice, especially the last one, self-control. It is very difficult. So, we only uttishtata jagrata prapya varan nivodhata. We have to get up. We have to arise, we have to awake and stop not till the goal is reached, Swami Vivekananda has said. And you have to have a very good teacher with whose guidance you will go through the path of this spiritualism where you want to attain the Brahma Jnana. So it is extremely difficult. I told that Brahma Jnana or the attainment of salvation is so difficult that it takes about a whole period of one's life, and you have to renounce everything for that. So it is Kshurasya dhara. Your next question?
Yeah, ma'am, that's maybe a little tricky question.
Yeah.
It may sound at least. That peaceful mind, as we call it actually, is it an oxymoron? Because mind cannot be peaceful. Mind itself is like monkey. So unless you have a state of no mind, then it cannot be a peaceful thing. If I say in terms of meditation, in meditation.
What is your question actually?
My question is actually that, is it actually an oxymoron? Is it a double
No,
thing?
not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, okay. If you go through the yoga literature, you go through the yoga texts, you will find it, the answer is there. Yes, if you practice yoga and sadhana in the true sense of the term, you will be able to think of nothing. My father was a sannyasi. He was a household sannyasi. That is, I think it's more difficult. He did not leave our household. He did all the duties of a householder, but he took sannyasi at the age of, say, 80. He lived on to 92, So these 12 years, I have seen him very closely, the life of a sannyasi. And he always used to tell me, try to think of nothing. But it is so difficult. We cannot reach that stage of sadhana, but you can if you follow the yoga scriptures. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your interesting questions. Yes, please.
Ma'am, thank you for your such beautiful explanation of spiritualism. You said one of the components of dharma is saucha, that is purity. My question may be a very lay question because I am not conversant with these scriptures or Sanskrit language. I just want to ask you, in our Hindu dharma, especially among Bengalis, after a person expires, we keep a certain period as we called asauch.
Yes.
So I want to ask that what is the relevance of this? A person who has expired is no more in life.
Right.
Whoever the survivors are left, how can they become impure
Right.
or follow that period of asauch? What
Right.
is the relevance?
Actually, you always have to understand the time frame from where the rule originated. In remote past, there were no nursing homes, no hospitals, and a member of the family used to pass away in the family only. There were fear of infection, and for all these reasons, certain rules were regulated in the society, like Ashoj. It was because people were not enlightened, people were not that educated, and the class that was educated, they came forward and told these people that if you maintain so many days, 12 or 13 days of Ashoj or impurity, then everything will be good later on. So how a person has to lead these small days, 10 or 12 days? The sons and the nearest members of the family, they have to wear different clothes, not the regular clothes that they wear. They have to lie down on the floor. They have to eat boiled things, not the normal cooked food that one is used to eat. So these types of regulations were imposed on the deceased family members. I think it was very necessary at that time. But now that we have a series of medicines to avoid infections, now science and technology have advanced in such a way that we need not consider ourselves to be impure that way, of course. But the tradition comes over. If you wear normal clothes, some well-wisher will come and remind you that you're not doing the right thing. Your near and dear one who has gone away, the Atma will be very cross upon you. It is time to get rid of all these, you know. In context of this, I would again say that the widows in Indian society face a lot of insult in religious ceremonies, in temples, and elsewhere, even in the family. In the family, if there is a puja, they are not allowed to touch the auspicious items. I can't believe the status of a lady depends on whether her husband is alive or not in society. That is ridiculous in this day. Yes, in the ancient times, what happened? Women were not educated, they did not earn their living. So once a lady loses her husband, she becomes a burden to the family. It was absolutely an economic problem that these poor ladies faced. And so many restrictions were upon them, like they had to shave off their hair and what and what. We know all that. So, in this context, I thank you for reminding me. This topic is also very important. And after Durga Puja, we have Shidur Khala on the Bisharjan day. And Shubhamastu girls, they always put Shindur on the cheeks of everyone, of all genders, and married, unmarried, widow, widower, whatever. Losing my family member is my grief. It is my loss. How can the society impose some restrictions upon me? That is meaningless in this time because I am educated. Everybody is educated. It is all about education. Thank you.
Question, like putting sindoor after marriage, is it a jewelry or what relevance it has in scriptures?
Very critical question. We don't know from when this practice came. Yes, many of the sociologists say that it was like marking you off that you are somebody else's property. Yes. And so, yes, nowadays the girls, they only put on sindoor when they wear saris, in some places when their sari matches with that red color. That is also a mark of a jewelry.
It has nothing to do with dharma or spiritualism.
Oh no, not at all. It is all within. The purity is within, the love is within, the respect is within. It cannot be counted by the things that you are wearing. Then the husband also has to put on some emblem, some sign. The widower who has lost his wife, he has to go through immense practices throughout the rest of his life, like the widow faces. That is not done. Yes, because we live in a patriarchal family, that is our history. So let's not go with that. We have to change through time. Everything changes.
Thank you for your excellent
Thank you,
questions, thought-provoking though. And in fact, on your first question, even I have a view, but in the interest of time, we can speak later on. And on your thing also, I have one view on your peaceful mind thing, so we can talk later on this. Yes, time for one more last question. Yes, please.
Thank you, because you've come up with questions. I love it.
Hello, ma'am. Actually, I just wanted to know, like nowadays, girls are not wearing vermilion or sindoor. But then again, suppose nowadays there is most girls are going for registry marriage. So if you consider that vermilion is not important, then registry marriage is also good. No need of getting priest and everybody.
Oh, that is a very interesting point. Yes, you have to sign papers. That is legal. And the Supreme Court has said, not the vermilion sindoor aspect, Saptapadi is extremely important and it is compulsory for marriage. Saptapadi, taking 7 holy steps together. It is important in the social marriage.
Ma'am, but most girls are doing the registry marriage, I know, but they don't go for the, the Saptabadi.
I always request the young generation, and I have succeeded in this point extremely, like Shubhamastu officiates in about 150 marriages every year. All 18 of us together. So you can well imagine the young generation, they need our priesthood help. That section, which section, just went for, believed in only court marriage and a party later on. That section wants us to preside over their social marriage just because they understand and we explain the philosophy behind wedding. That is very important. The philosophy behind the union of two souls. That is extremely important and very serious matter. And this has to be understood. I even tell them that if you have a quarrel between yourselves, which is a very natural thing in this world.
I think it's a very important point she has made, because today, in the process of preparing for a wedding, the concept of marriage is getting diluted. The
Absolutely.
purity of marriage is getting diluted.
Yeah, they first of all appoint an event manager and the pomp and grandeur and the menu set in. What will be the color scheme of the guests? When on the haldi it will be yellow, or the next day it will be red, and what not.
So, Dr. Bhomik, I think this topic became much more relevant after.
I can talk for another
listening.
hour in this.
No,
Ma'am, can I add something?
On the,
Just 1 minute, if I can add something to her question, if I'm allowed. She was telling that there is a trend that goes for registered marriage where this priesthood is not required. But registered marriage can only happen under Special Marriage Act, where you have to fill in a form, submit, and your marriage get registered. That registered marriage later on can be social function can be conducted where the priesthood is required. But under Hindu marriage, first the marriage takes place with Saptapadi, where the priesthood is required. Subsequently, you can get your Hindu marriage registered. So there is a difference between registered marriage and registration of a marriage.
yeah, very well.
Ma'am,
explained.
actually,
Thank
I
you.
want to
So I
differ
think,
one thing, because I've just done the thing differently.
We are going beyond this, and we need to bring this to
Yes.
conclusion in the interest of time. And you can always interact after the meeting is over with Dr. Bhomik as well as. But what I just, before handing over the mic to Sujata ji for a vote of thanks, I just thought, this topic. First, when I was thinking how it will go, but today, after listening to you, I realized in my welcome address, I had mentioned one line that in India is a land of where women are so much revered. So let me go a step further. In the land of Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, Saraswati, Parvati, I mean, how can women not be in the space you have highlighted
Thank
today?
you so much.
So this was very, very important. With these words, I would now request Sujata ji, the co-chairperson of Bharat Chamber Ladies Forum, to offer a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Mr. Pachisia. Dr. Bhomik, Sri Pachisia, Srimati Shah, members of the committee, members of the Ladies Forum, guests and friends. It is my most pleasant duty to move a very hearty vote of thanks to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Nandini Bhomik, for sparing some of her valuable time and sharing her insightful perspective. It was really wonderful. As we conclude today's wonderful talk on spiritualism and women, let us carry forward the profound realization that faith and spirituality have the power to shape and transform lives. May the insights shared by Dr. Nandini Bhomik continue to inspire us to draw upon our spiritual heritage to empower women, promote gender equality, and create a more inclusive and harmonious society. My thanks are due to the members and guests for attending today's talk. With these words, I request you to join me in carrying a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Bhomik with appreciative acclamation.
Before we conclude, may I request our chairperson of the Ladies Forum to present a memento to our guest speaker, Dr. Nandini Bhomik. Thank you. Thank you. With this, we conclude today's enriching talk, and I would request everyone to join us for high tea. Thank you.